Welcome back to The Edge on this continuing series of the setups, this one named long up down bars or long down up bars. We'll explain in a second. What's important to understand about this particular setup is what we joke about the fifth graders. Fifth graders are good at creating a bias, but they're not good at changing it. What do we mean by that? Well, if you think about something that's obvious, and if a fifth grader could see it, so did most of the rest of the market. And a lot of retail traders are good at creating a bias. How do I know it's going up? How do we know it's going down? But they're not very good at changing it. So it's really important to see and recognize this dynamic of when a move totally gets retraced in a very short period of time. Fifth graders will go cry to their mommy and daddy when they're wrong, and retail traders will put in buy stops and sell stops or add to losers and things like that. So you really want to still stay focused on what other traders are thinking with this real-time analysis. So if you look at, like we look at all our images, this is a down bar right in here, and the market re-rallies there, retraces back lower, rallies again in there, and comes back off. Again, the bird in the sky, if it left a trail, what would it look like? If you look, and now we have to not anticipate, but we have to assume that indeed this was a down bar. This bar labeled number 1. What's important to understand with this first bar is that when a market moves lower, everyone thinks, hey, let's sell it and go short. That's a logical thought to have. Prices go lower, let's sell it, let's get short. That's indicative of this first bar that moves lower. However, the market totally, in bar number 2, retraces that weakness and then some. So it retraces the entire down move, essentially trapping those shorts. Then in bar number 3, the market comes in and has a small pullback, and it doesn't continue in the direction of bar number 1. It's just confirming the fact that indeed too many shorts are trapped, and they're the ones that are creating the buying pressure that indeed could stack the probabilities that the next right side of the market is the upside. So let's go back over this just for a moment. Remember, every time after you sell it, you're a buyer. So when you sell it to go short, you're a buyer to cover that position. So in bar number 1, you see the market go lower, you start to get that bearish bias, or many of the retail traders do. Even professionals will think short when a market moves lower. It's not just a retail concept. So when the market begins to retrace that first bar, you'll get people to sell it on a retracement and get short there. People to sell it and get short there. People to sell it and get short there. All the while, everyone who sells it in this bar number 2 has been trapped. They've seen nothing but pain. It's done nothing but go against them. That's why you get this little retracement kind of stopping halfway on bar number 2. And you have all these individuals who are short trying to bid to cover the short because all they've done is taken nothing but heat and felt pain since they sold it in bar number 2. Again, after you sell it, you're a buyer. If there's a lot of resting bids in this area and they're not going to get filled, they're the ones that jump and create the rally in this tall up bar. It's those who got trapped that create the buying pressure and begin to shift and change the bias of the market. So let's say you're not going to use this specifically when you recognize this pattern to get long in this area down in here. However, let's just say for a second you have a bullish bias for another reason. And now you understand the rationale, the dynamic of why this particular pattern could give you a better place to execute and better timing to implement that bullish bias that you have. For instance, you're bullish when the market rotates down and then you see the entire down bar get retraced in a short period of time, like in here, and now you're like, now it's time to indeed execute the bullish bias you had for another reason. Because in this entire story, you've seen shorts get trapped. When you're able to line up your medium or long-term bias where some shorter-term traders could have got trapped is when you're going to start to qualify better entries, whether it's a specific setup like a long up-down or down-up bar scenario like this one, or some other bias you created that might be a little longer term.